Hello everyone, are you ready for another adventure? It's me, Woki, and I'm back for some more Witch on the Holy Night because I finally have some time to myself again, and I'm waiting for actual, I'm waiting till after Memorial Day to actually release the videos I need to for, Fago. Considering right now, there's the only thing up is like banners that you should not be summoning on. Unless I guess you were already planning for. So I figured now is as good a time as any to get back to Witch on the Holy Night and continue where I left off. So that's going to be today's video. Hope you like it. If you do, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This has been almost, I want to say, a month since the last thing I did. So let's see, where I left off was I was doing the archive. So I'm going to continue reading this here. So 7 Days of Spinning Volume 2. My dad is also home, so unfortunately you might hear some snoring in the background, but it should be fine. I'm home. Alice, you here yet? I got some stuff from the arcade while on the way home from church. There's Isaiah, rice crackers, I guess Isia rice crackers. You want to share some? I should also mention I am also tired because I've been awake for an extremely long time and I've only been able to record this at 2:46 a.m. at night for various reasons. All right, there we go. Her voice reverberated through the foyer, dyed in the colors of the setting sun. It was after 5 in the afternoon when Aoko, still in her school uniform, cheerfully returned home. She had finished her student council duties and attended her monthly meeting with the church. Welcome back. See that the meeting went as planned. The voice was coming from the second floor. In contrast with Aoko and her boundless energy, a considerably calmer girl descended from above. There were some complaints, but all in all, it went well. Our problem here is ours alone, so I decided not to get them involved. You okay with that, Alice? I forgot that I have to wait for them to finish talking in Japanese. Yes, I'd ask for their help in a pinch, but they can't be trusted. We'll call on them to clean up the mess as usual. Agreed, no one likes to have to keep looking over their shoulder. We can't fully commit to this if we're worried about what's going on elsewhere. Well, I can, but you don't have time for that, do you, Aoko? Tap tap. With the graceful sounds of her step, Alice entered the foyer. As she did, Aoko's eyes were directed towards the skylight above. The fancy-ass window you have in your house. The glass is kind of dirty. I guess it's not fancy if it's dirty. I wanted to discuss that after today's business is concluded, that is. Are you feeling okay, Aoko? You can rest if you're not. Huh? Oh, don't be such a nag. I'm not stressed or anything. Today was pretty normal. Do I look that tired? You look a little bit tired, I'd say. As school activities went, today's were a breeze, not bizarre. At a glance, her school life might have seemed almost idyllic, though the more she thought about it, some headache-inducing incidents may have stood out here and there. With some sincere introspection, Aoko might have recognized the signs of her own mental fatigue, but doing so would have further added to her stress. Stop. Okay, enough about that. I didn't come home just to stress out over school. What were we learning about today? Mesmerize basics, right? Wish? Then let's get started. I feel like I could master anything today. Aoko focused on shedding her anger and stress, and headed upstairs with
ど
gusto.
うしたのよ。アリスの部屋でやるんじゃないの？
Aren't you coming? I thought we were going to do it in your room, Alice. Hmm. The formally dressed Alice nodded in slight
それ
dissatisfaction.
で伊勢屋のせんべいって今日の？
We gonna eat those Isaiah rice crackers today, or? She looked at the freshly baked treats Aoko was holding. She hungry for the cracker? I don't know. When I hear cracker, I assume that it's like a cracker, like a plain white cracker, but I don't know. Maybe they're different in Japan. In the end, their lesson took place after Alice had her cup of tea. For an apprentice like Aoko, Alice Kanoji was the kind of roommate and teacher that was hard to come by. If she insisted that Aoko rest to preserve her health, Aoko had no choice but to comply. The lesson was over after 2 hours, so the two finished the dinner that they had prepared and decided on a change of venue for where they would spend the last hours of the day. The sunroom was next to the drawing room in the east wing of the residence and offered a view of beautiful grounds. The proud Kanoji Estates' luxurious sunroom featured furnishings on par with those in the splendid drawing room. Meanwhile, this looks like the house from Resident Evil 7.
この分だと。
It's going to be a jungle come next year's summer. The grounds outside had fallen into disrepair, neglected by the owner.
ねえアリス、庭掃除専用のプロイとかいないの？
Don't you have any landscaping employees lying around, Alice? Aoko took a step into the sunroom and poured some tea.
探せばいるかもしれないけど、少し手間ね。
I'm sure I could find one, but it would take some effort. Playing along with her roommate's joke, Alice made to sit in her chair. Just as she was caught the sight of a box of chocolate on the table, her lovely eyes narrowed in a frown.
何よ、言っとくけど、今日の失敗は半分アリスのせいよ。
Don't be like that. Today's screw-up was half your fault, you know.
おせんべいで気が緩んだのが敗因っていうか、そりゃウィッシュのつもりがガンドになっちゃったのは我ながら攻撃的すぎると思うけど。
Maybe the rice crackers threw us off our game, or maybe it was me being too aggressive that turned that wish into a gander. But still, gander or gonder?
減ってるわ。
We're down 6 pieces.
なんだ、そっ
We
ち
are.
のことか。
Wait, that's what you're upset about? Aoko's eyes stared intently at the box of chocolates. You could search the world and never find a finer selection of chocolates. The brand was Sixpence Songs, apparently.
で、鏡の話をするんだっけ？
So, what was it about the mirror you wanted to
あ
talk
れ、
about?
今洋館モードから岬モードになってるんでしょ？
It's still in Masaki mode, right? Not mansion mode?
ええ。ここの管理はおざなりになるけど、三崎市だけに切り替えたわ。それが昨日から曇り出している。
Yes, the mansion can take care of itself for the time being, so I changed its target to Masaki City. Things have been cloudy there since yesterday.
少しずつだけど、確実に包囲されてるわね。
Now I know for certain that with each passing day, the forces arrayed against us grow.
包囲って数が増えたってこと？
You mean there are more of those
捕捉
things?
していた1名はもちろん、他にもう2名ほど不審者を目撃済み。都市部に1、郊外の森に2名。
There's the one who was captured, and I've witnessed 2 other suspicious types, one in the city and one in the woods outside of town.
はあ、あんたの目撃談は当てになるからな。
Is it too much to ask that you could be wrong just this once?
うるさいのはどっち？
Which one is causing the biggest ruckus?
森の方。捕捉中だけど、こっちの目に気づいているみたい。なかなか誘いに乗ってこないわ。
The one in the woods. I'm getting close to capturing it, but it knows it's being watched. It's not taking the bait.
そっか。
Let's see.
じゃあ今夜仕掛ける。
You want to go after it tonight? To go after it tonight. One simple suggestion that would change the course of her life forever. It was no overstatement to say that this was a roll of the dice that would decide whether she had the moxie to survive the experience of jumping out of a plane with a torn parachute. Aoko swallowed her hesitation and fear with a little tea. On the school's anniversary night, she declared that she made up her mind, and from that time on, she would not waver. Alice welcomed her roommate's strength with the barest hint of regret. As someone who shared the same motives as her, Alice was ultimately reassured by Alko's resolve. Well, perhaps more pleased than reassured. I heard my cat Lucifer messing with something, so I had to quickly go get him before he accidentally woke up everyone. Anyway, all in all, it had taken a better part of a year, but finally Alko had stepped out of Alice's shadow. The two partners now shared the same fate. Alko was not the partner Alice had asked for, but a partner nonetheless. Strangers, worlds apart. And even if eventually they would battle each other to the death using all they had inherited, it was only right they did it on equal terms. Wait, what the fuck are they? It was, at least for now, a cause for celebration over how far Alko had come.
せっかくだけど、今夜は私一人で十分よ。
Generous, but I'll be fine on my own tonight.
そんな余裕があるのなら、あなたはもう少し暗示の練習をするべきね。公演はあなたの担当だから、その時は働いてもらうけど。
Time would be better spent practicing Mesmerize a little more. The park is under your jurisdiction, so I'll put you to work when the time comes. Alice did not so much as look at Alko as she explained her reasons. The scale of the enemy she would face that night. Her plans for Alko. For in only 2 days from now, Aozuki would be reborn.
はいはい、わかりました。
Fine, whatever you say. Alko finished her tea and stood up from her seat.
お言葉通り、暗示の練習でもやってるわ。
Well, I guess I'm practicing then.
一節目は確か、軽く弱く、うまく早く、チクタクチクタク、急げや急げ、よね。
How did the first part go again? Be light and frail, nimble and fast, tick tock, there's no time to waste. That right?
そこは軽く弱く、うまく早く、急げや急げ、チクタクチクタク。よ。
Yeah. No. You're missing the quiet part. Remember the weight of the air, the tremble of one's breast? Light lags behind while shadow pulls ahead.
気をつけなさい。それだと逆に落ち着かなくなるわ。
Be careful, or you may find yourself in a state of unease.
そうだったそうだった。じゃ、一つ失礼。
Yeah, I remember now. If you'll excuse me. Malko grabbed a piece of chocolate and popped it into her mouth. She waved before leaving Alice alone in silence. Alice stiffened a moment before slamming the box of chocolates shut as if it could serve us to scold Alko for snacking. She must really care about those snacks. I mean, if they don't have very much of them, then I understand it. Alright. 7 Days of Spinning, Volume 3. It's the moon. Okay. Good morning. Time check 0000. Fucking robot? That answers my question. 24 hours since last update. Running back up, transmitting log. Commencing local scan. I mean, why would you pay attention to that level, but... Running atmospheric analysis. Nitrogen, nominal. Oxygen, nominal. Argon, nominal. Carbon dioxide, nominal. Fifth theoretical factor, multiple anomalies detected. Local space-time discrepancy detected.
第一種危険物との遭遇と断定。
Conclusion, contact, class 1 threat.
視覚領域を主観から客観に変更。
Shifting perception range from subjective to objective.
自律回路を予備電源に。計測回路を主電源に変更。
Shifting autonomous circuit to reserve power. Shifting diagnostic circuit to main
カ
power.
メラを赤外線計測から虚数線計測に変更。
Shifting view mode. IR filter inactive. I filter
で
active.
は
Now it begins.
これより戦闘行為の記述を開始します。
Initiating combat log.
主よ、どうか我が身を守りたまえ。
Oh, master, preserve me from harm. Okay. I didn't think that this thing would have robots in it. Or space robots. Misaki City was a thickled wooded area. Urban development continued unabated, but Mother Nature still drew breath in its outskirts. Wise old trees had been turned into lumber. The leaves had begun to turn into mulch. Even though the birds who curiously tilted their heads and moved on, the verdure lived on, a testament to its enduring strength. Till the time came that devouring light of civilization became powerful enough to encroach upon nature's mysterious domain. These woods were no exception. The outlying border between Misaki City and Misaki Hills had been left untouched. Though driven from their nest and dens here, wildlife continued to subsist even today, no longer able to return to the days before man. This was just like any other forest situated next to a town.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. Winter had arrived in the woods. The chill cut like a razor. The icy air so thick it could reach one's bones. Exposed cheeks stiffened and wisps of breath formed swirls in the air before disappearing. It was 1 degree above freezing. The cold snap penetrated every nook and cranny of the woods, from the ground to the trees to the wildlife.
The cock jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed.
The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed. The forest allowed nobody entry during the day. During the winter, it willed the animals to slumber. The still evening air felt like the stagnant breath of the lingering dead. The forest consumed the moonlight, obscuring the sight of even the closest of precipices. No? Precipices. Nope. I don't know. Okay, fuck it. I'm tired. And hastening the untimely doom of any soul unfortunate enough to become lost within. The only noises to be heard were the whisperings of the wind and the murmurings of the stream. The immortal darkness stifled any sense of life. Not the breath of an animal, much less that of a person, was drawn in this place. However, a figure in black, not of this place, skulked within. It cast the tiniest, frailest of silhouettes like a small boat lost in a sea of fog. Its trepidatious footsteps echoed through the woods. There, exiting the veil of trees, was the unmistakable likeness of a young girl.
To see such cleft under dish run away with the spoon.
To see such craft in the dish ran away with the spoon.
来たぞ来たぞ。いるぞいるぞ。
Someone's here, someone's here. There they are, there they are.
誰が誰が？誰と誰が？
Who can they be? Who can they be? Someone and someone.
お腹は減ったの？お腹は鳴ったさ。
Are you hungry? I'm starving.
どっちが食べる？どっちも食
Which one should we eat? Let's eat them both.
べる。君は左手。お前は右手。
You take the left, you take the right.
か
歓迎しないと。
感激しないと。
We must welcome them, we must entertain them.
何しろようやく楽しいお客。
After all, we don't often have guests.
ついでにお腹と頸骨も。
せっかくだからよく噛まないと。
While we're at it, the stomach and the tibia, it's not often we get to chew the fat. The shadows in the trees laughed ominously. A hallucination, an illusion, or perhaps something real? The shadows frolicked in the time to the girl's pace.
さあさあさあさあ。
もっと奥へ、もっと奥へ。
Come, come, deeper and deeper.
ところでダイスは細工済み？
Did you remember to rig the
お腹の
dice?
重いローデット。
Loaded innards they have.
端っこかじったエッジワーク。
Nibbled around the edges they be.
どうでもいいけど肝心要の6の目だけは出さないように。
Just remember, don't roll that vital 6. The girl knitted her eyebrows. She heard voices and felt the presence of things that should not be. Scary enough to frighten this particular girl? As if. Her tightly pursed lips betrayed not a hint of fear. The girl walked of her own volition. She had truly felt fear her legs would be frozen. Deep within the trees, she was perfectly aware of the two humanoid figures stalking her through the still night
見た
air.
ぞ見たぞ。
I saw them, I saw them.
来るぞ来るぞ。
They're coming, they're coming.
もう諦めろ。
Give up.
もう帰れない。
There's no going back.
あんなに教えてあげたのに。
We warned
よ
you.
そに消えないお前が悪い。
It's your fault for staying. The girl halted her steps. The racket from the accompanying voices died in turn. The babbling brook suddenly sounded like a crackling fire. And then, across the shallow stream, something appeared that would not exist in the city, much less these woods.
こんばんは。話のわかる人はいる？
Good evening. I don't suppose I could speak to your master. The girl addressed them calmly. These men had their Glasgow grins creeping towards her like two slugs.
そう。ただの墓守り。監視だけが仕事なのね。
I see. Simple graveyard wards sent to be
失
lookouts.
敗したわ。これなら青子に任せればよかった。
My mistake. I should have entrusted this to Alco.
ああ、
However, the one grinning man stood still. The other, shaking violently as if unable to contain himself any longer, turned towards the
青
girl.
子にはまだ荷が重いわね。
Alco still has a lot on her plate.
そんな姿だけど、あなたたちは一人前の魔術師のようだし。
Although you far look the part, you seem to be on the level of a fully fledged mage. Her black outfit stirred. In her right hand, she held a virtuous cat darker than the deepest night. Hmm? The two Glasgow men let out a yelp of caution and incoherent fear. It was at this moment that they were finally bared their intent and
さ
emotion.
ようなら、お客様。
Farewell, my guests.
きっと一瞬だろうから。お別れだけ言っておくわ。
Since this will take but a moment, I offer only a goodbye. The two shuddered at her words. They had no mouths, nor ears or brains to begin with. For creatures like these, words were redundant. All that existed was the present. For these soulless creatures, fears and hopes were nothing more than an unimaginable future. Then what would be this feeling of foreboding they felt? This is foreboding as shit. You should probably run. If I was you, I would have ran a long fucking time ago. Anyway. The spine-chilling miracle that would rip them to pieces not moments from now.
さあ、ごっこ遊びをしましょう。
Come
お
then,
人形さん。
puppets. Let us play make-believe. Damn, the song is going crazy right now. Her song sounded like a bell echoing through the white woods. The girl's voice vanquished in the frost that had gripped the trees. Then,
いやいやずいぶん待たされた。
come on, don't keep us waiting.
さあ赤ずきんの登場だ。
Come on, it's time for Little Red Riding Hood. The curtains opened on Diddle Diddle, the banquet of the night. In confusion, one slit-mouthed man swooped towards the girl. In fear, the other fled into the woods behind him. The deformed humanoid darted forth, kicking up water as it rushed the girl. He already knew what this fiend was. The grinning figure had scissors for hands and a demon's heart. It was a wretch who kidnapped children, mercilessly rendering them into pieces.
トゥイドル
Tweedle,
お任せお任せ。
leave it to us.
く出番だ。あらよった。
It's finally our turn. The piglets bounded and rebounded little like paddle balls. The stuffed animals for over 3 feet in length jumped and weaved their way between the trees. Yo! Even with these strange creatures behind him, the grinning man did not so much as blink. He raised his arms, but what emerged from his coat sleeves were not the human appendages that you would expect. In their place, fiendish cleavers more than 1.5 feet in length. These appendages, which had torn so much of their prey to pieces, sliced cleanly through the flying pig skulls. Huh? His limbs froze in place. The pigs' bodies were sliced perfectly in half. And then, bisected from head to tail, the pig's innards became an alligator jaw and clamped down above the grinning man's arms. From fingertips to shoulders, they were swallowed whole. It was all it took to rob the man of control over his entire body. Another shiver of fear. They were no mere pig familiars. Immediately, he realized that these were stapler monsters disguised as mere pigs.
捕まえたのはダムでした。
I mean, he would have probably figured it out if he had any idea of, like, Red Riding Hood. I assumed that these were, like, wolves in sheep's clothing or something. I got him.
捕まえたのは D だってば。
No, I got him.
ああでも残念。ご主人様は無口で無情で無関心。
Oh, but too bad. Master has no words, no emotions, no interests.
結局どっちの手柄も同じこと。
In the end, it doesn't matter who did it.
London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down.
London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down. Yeah. Impossible. Its presence murmured 3 times. Not possible, not possible, not possible? Talking pigs were one thing. Even having one's arms chopped off was in the realm of occupational hazard. In an instant, the wood was enveloped in a dense wave of magical energy. Though vexing, it was still impressive. None of these acts were particularly extraordinary. These rare familiars, their bizarre attacks, the sheer innate magical energy to overwhelm others. He had experience with all of these things. His employer was skilled enough to achieve all of this as well. However,
どうするどうする。いつまで放置？
what now? What now? How long could we hold him like
手
this?
足一本。瞬きだって贅沢だ。
Even a blink of an eye is too long. Let's take an arm.
お支払いは面倒でもできればポンドでお願いします。
I'll give you a good price if you pay me in pounds. What were they? Not vessels. Not living creatures. Not beings powered by magic circuits. Even though only his arms had been bitten, none of his body would move. It was nothing like being bound or weakened. It felt more like he had become words written in a book, fated to keep their page. As the grinning figure's deformities indicated, he had overcome numerous curiosities and monstrosities. Illusions, enthrallments, compulsions. freesians, putrefactions, and even petrifications, a power granted to only the pinnacle of mystic eyes. From poisons to magecraft, he had weathered a great deal, but this was something different altogether. He's getting mogged by pigs. The penalty that bound him now was based on a different principle from blood, flesh, oxygen, or heat. It was an unknown restraint that followed no rules he knew. Indeed, though it was terrifying to admit, it was as if he had encountered something alien to everything in this world. London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down. London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady. Fangs sank into his left and right shoulders. For the first time in this form, he felt rage seethed up inside him. The basis of all things had to be absolute. All mystics, all things bizarre, obeyed some set of laws. But these pigs ignored this, along with his dignity.
さあ3日で衰弱
After 3 days, you weaken.
3日で溺死
After 6, you drown.
半年経てば惨めな骸骨
After half a year, you'll be a wretched skeleton.
でもこぶれ
面倒だから今殺そうか
Sorry to be rude, but we'll just kill you now. A howl. Though he had no voice, he let out an exasperated scream.
うげ
Huh? Huh?
なんて便利自分の腕を外せる機構
What a convenient function to be able to detach your arms.
おお前こそ三国一のマナラフよ
What an unparalleled warrior. The talkative pigs fell into the stream. The exasperated screams was the sound of the figure tearing his arms from his sockets. Harmless, he rushed the girl.
役立たず後で仕置きが必要ね
Useless swine, I'll see you be punished later. It may have lost his mangled arm, but no object of his malice. Not the object of his malice. A mystic eye had pierced the heart of its victims, a magic circuit designated to stop a beating heart. It was beautiful in its simplicity. At point-blank range, it was the equivalent of an unavoidable shotgun blast. Huh? But, tragically, that eye was all he had.
Build it up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Build it up with wood and clay, my fair lady.
Build it up with wood and clay, wood and clay, wood and clay. Build it up with wood and clay, my fair lady. He failed to realize that her song had changed. For the giant, the earth-shattering strike was akin to the act of shooing away an insect. Its green verdant vines pulsed. Oaken bark covered its body, hardened sufficiently over centuries to propel even a chainsaw. On its forehead, inscribed all manners of colors, was the word Emeth, though judging from its misspelling, the inscription was purely decorative. Thamos Troll. It also went by the moniker Falling Down, or alternatively, the Great Bridge. Admired in different forms, it was the first of 4 miracles.
テムズもう一体のお願い
Themis, please take care of the other one. The giant responded to the girl's words. With roots rent down into the earth, it raised its left arm to the heavens without moving a step. Elsewhere in the forest, the grinning figure had chosen to flee the battle was running through the night's forest at full speed. Record and provide a detailed description of the enemy. Those were the orders assigned to him. He poured all of his energy into escaping this forest with which he had become so familiar. In case of emergency, the plan was for one to challenge the enemy while the other made a tactical retreat in order to report to their master. He dashed through the forest. Though gripped by fear, he was confident in his ability to perform the mission he was designed for. Nothing could catch him in these woods. Even the wolves could not track him. His bird-like legs thumped as they kicked the ground. Perhaps it was his creator's eccentric tastes that dictated their forms when optimizing them for running. The grinning man could reach a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, well past the limit of any bipedal creature. After securing a distance of several miles, he turned around to confirm his safety. There was no sign of pursuit. His crescent-shaped mouth, nay eye, slacked in relief. And then... After facing forward once more, he looked up to the lock eyes with his doom.
London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down.
London Bridge is broken down, broken down, broken down. In the distance, he could hear the dark rhymes of Mother Goose. Countless vines extended from the ground. They formed into a monstrosity that conjured up the images of an arced bridge, something resembling a giant arm.
London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady.
London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady. Yeah, this guy's old mega fucked.
最終報告
Final report.
生還は困難
Survival, unable to
解
complete.
析は困難
Analysis, unable to
転
complete.
送は困難
Transmission, unable to
状
complete.
況を終了します
Ending session.
あ
Oh, Master, preserve me from... Nice boom shot.
済んだよね。お疲れ様。戻ってテムズ。
I think we're about done here. Well done, Tamos. You can return now.
次はもっと高価な場所ならいいのだけど。
Hopefully our next encounter will be more worth our time. The girl turned on her heel. The invaders who had set up shop in the woods were eliminated. She had no interest in whether they had been good or evil, nor how many victims they had claimed. The shackles of civic society held no sway over her. This was the way of a pure-blooded witch, the way of a mindster.
僕たちはねえ僕たちは
Hey, what about us? What about us?
この腕抜けないんだけ
Help me get his arm out of my teeth.
噛んだままだと僕らも動けないっていうかさ
We really shouldn't move while we're eating.
ど飛べない豚に用はないと
Don't tell us you don't need pigs that can fly.
次はお役に立ちますきっと生まれてこの方失敗続きの僕らだけど
We'll do a better job next time, though we're nothing but screw-ups.
壊れるまでに一度くらいは褒められたいね
Yeah, you owe us at least one compliment before the end. The girl let out a sigh and stepped into the stream. She removed her gloves and dipped her slender fingers into the ice water.
6の目は出すなって言うけど、
I told you to not roll
6
sixes,
の目しか出ないようになってるわよね。
but I suppose it is the only number you can roll. There was no response to her melancholy tone. In place of the once boisterous pigs were 2 black dice now sitting in the palm of her hands. As the girl was about to say something to the scattered remains around her, she realized something that made her put her hand to her mouth.
お別れは済ませていたわね。
The farewell is over.
目ぐらいは聞いておくべきだったかしら。
Should I have asked them if they had any last words? Her slender, pale fingers traced her lips as if reluctant to part with them. Sighing again, she calmly left the dark woods the same way she had entered. Okay, well, I think that's good to end it off right there, because I don't know if I can... The fourth of this book is going to be able to top what I just read there, so let me see. If I can quickly save, and I'll come back to this probably maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I'm still on the lookout to see if they announce a banner that is unexpected. Basically, just to see if Fago decides to put out a Tez banner, or a big assassin. I'm trying to think of the big assassins they could potentially release, just because it is related to the Draco event of 90++. They could also just not release one. I think Tez seems like a pretty good idea of someone to be released, but then if they wanted to also go the route of just releasing an assassin, they could release Koyanskaya. Or they could just do nothing. They could say the King Hassan is good enough. We'll see, huh? But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully should not take as long as the last one that I did, because I'm interested to see where this goes. Anyway, until next time, see you guys later. Bye-bye.